Well, let's start then in George. And this is where pathologists are in this continuous struggle to identify some of the bodies retrieved from the ruins of that collapsed building. Emergency crews are still busy there trying to find at least 20 people who remain trapped after this five-storey building collapsed. That building caving in last week, Monday, with 81 people at work. 61 have now been freed from the rubble, with 32 confirmed fatalities. But frustration is growing among family members who still want answers. The South African Local Government Association, as well as provincial and national teams, will be visiting the site later this morning. All right, let's bring in Newsroom Africa's Sipha Kema, who's been on the story since the very beginning. Sipha, good morning to you. You've been following all the twists and turns, the highs and the lows. Some people fortunately retrieved alive, good news for their loved ones, and others not so fortunate, just really mired in that tragedy and in mourning this morning. Tell us what's the latest. We know that we're expecting again some high-level delegations to come and have a look at what's going on there, but just give us an update as to what's been happening so far until this point.
Well, so far, Iman, death toll is still sitting at 32. That was confirmed yesterday at the briefing by the Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure, Sipha Kema, and also 20 unaccounted for. Now, you're mentioning some of those families that were unfortunate and the loved ones that were buried under the rubble have been confirmed as deceased, and some of them, of course, passing away on site and some in hospital. But we have a guest here, but we'll rather hide his identity, and he doesn't want us to reveal his identity and keep him anonymous. His brother was one of those that was actually found under the rubble deceased, but they managed to identify him. Fortunately for him, as you know, that there's been an issue with identification of those that are deceased. Right now, pathology services are being used, DNA matching, fingerprints, as well as looking at those marks such as your tattoos, birthmarks, piercings, that will help authorities identify the deceased. 6 have been identified so far. I think let's bring him in as well. Bhuti, siqale sithethe ngobhuti wakho lona uswelekileyo. Eqaleni niyifamily nizive njani xa nixelelwa ukuba ngomnye wabo aswelekileyo?
Yeah, buhlungu kakhulu. It's very painful nangoku asikwazi usibamba, but it's just that sibadala sesiyazama nje sikwazi usibamba, but it's very painful. Asikwazi usibamba, even our heart is very painful right now. We don't even know what we can do because it's very painful, man.
And then into besincokola ngoko later on, earlier on, about imizimba umgodusa, nizokwazi umgodusa?
Yeah, actually some of them they have those stories about bias, but I don't know about them about. But if they have, and they have some groups, they're gonna talk about it. Maybe they're gonna manage to take him home and do everything.
And so, and the other families as well, in terms of taking the bodies back home to the countries of origin.
Yeah, like one of his family is actually here. Since last week is here, but now that's why we are here, so that we can hear what's next and what they're gonna do now.
So you're waiting on the authorities and the different departments then to tell you. Have they already started communicating, like the embassy or the consul from Zambia, because you're from Zambia? Have they started communicating with your family or the other families as well in terms of assisting to go home?
Yeah, actually I'm not sure. But obviously maybe they already talk about it, because this thing, they can't take it too long, because it's very painful, so they must just do something. So far as they do something, so they can go on.
And you're still here, even though your family member has been confirmed as one of the deceased, but are you here in solidarity, or are you here to assist your other friends?
I'm just here to assist my friends, because one of my friends is here. The one is his brother, he was here.
He's also here?
Yeah, but I don't know where is he now. So we are here to visit him. That's why we are here.
All right. Thank you so much. That's one of the family members or loved ones of the deceased from the George collapse, Iman. Of course, telling us about, that some of the families from other parts of the country have actually, so other parts of the continent have actually come down to South Africa to start the process of repatriation. But some families are in need, as we heard from the Deputy Minister of International Relations yesterday, Mr. Alvin Bottas, telling us that there are some families that are struggling with repatriation, but they are in communication with some of the country consul like Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Malawi as well. And we just spoke to the gentleman we just spoke to now. He's from Zambia. His family's from Zambia. So he says that his family has already also begun the processes of taking his brother back home to Zambia.
Again, just hearing all of these recollections and accounts of who is waiting, the anticipation, the anxiety. Sipha, give us a sense of who is relaying some of the, or allaying some of the expectations of family members, who's talking to them, keeping them updated, especially in a context like this where, as we have said, an unidentified or unquantifiable number of those people presumably trapped still underground and those deceased come from other countries outside of South Africa.
Well, there's been officials that are actually required to deal with the family, or rather be the middleman with the family between the rescue teams, as well as the officials and the families. And what we've seen over the past week, Iman, is that they've been there's a team that's been dedicated to assisting the families, whether with information, with the social support, because some of those officials that are also tasked to assist with the families, some of them are social workers actually here in George, and we've spoken to some of them, several of them that are currently on site working, and obviously having to relay the messages as well. But we know that there was also a doctor that was deployed there, because she was also a middle person who would assist with relaying the hard information and the hard news, such as those that have been confirmed as deceased and were able to be identified by their families, or rather by the friends or colleagues that were assisting on site looking for people. Yeah. So there are people that have been communicating with those families, but however, some of the families have been saying that there's been no communication or enough communication, or even though there are people who have been tasked with that, but it's a matter of a broken telephone, basically. Some of them wanting to know what exactly is happening currently at this point, what are they to do. But we also do know Gift of the Givers has also been part of that and assisting with the families, and also with relaying that information. I mean, we saw last week when MEC Bradal and as well as Premier Alan Wendy and Dr. Imtiaz Suleiman had to go into the community hall where the families are currently being accommodated, and when they had to start breaking the difficult news that they're going to change to demolition, they're slowly moving from rescue to recovery, when they brought on the big machinery to start with the demolition process. Those hard news, they had to all go in there themselves and deliver to the families.
Just a final quick one, Sipha, before I let you go. And this is, where's the employer? Still, over the last couple of days, this question has come up often. Where are the contractors? Where are the developers? Even if this investigation is ongoing, which it must, that missing link of humanity and empathy for people who worked on the site, for their families who are in such anguish and trauma today. Has there been any sign of them? Has another statement, perhaps in solidarity with the families, been released? What has been forthcoming from the employer?
Now, Iman, early on, just last week and or as well as yesterday, just to remind people of the role players that are in this, that, there are different role players. Now, the people who have been on site since the incident have been assisting with recovery, and the ones that issued us a statement, it was Leotal, who are the contractors or developers on site, meaning they overseeing what is happening on the construction site as far as the building and the development is concerned.
Right.
Then you have the actual developers or the owners of the property. They are the ones that have been missing in action. And I mean, just yesterday, Deputy Minister Botha said that out of moral obligation, can the developers come forward and assist the families, especially those that need to start repatriating their loved ones back home, those that have been able to identify. And that's the call that has been coming from all authorities, but still, Iman, still no word from the developers and the contractors. And also, as far as the investigation is concerned, is that they're still not coming up and they're still not being able to contact them. But however, they have been contacting the developer that was overseeing the construction site. Those, as Minister Sipha Kema said, they are part of those that are currently being investigated, such as the engineering consultants, the architects as well. But however, the actual developers and owners are nowhere to be found.